Before anything in your life changes on the outside, something subtle shifts on the inside first. In this video, you'll explore a bold idea that your mind is not just observing reality, it is quietly scripting it through your beliefs, your expectations, and the identity you keep repeating to yourself. You'll see why most of us are trapped in the have gives do gives be mentality, always waiting for more money, more proof, or more validation before we allow ourselves to become who we truly want to be, and how reversing that formula into be gives, do gives have, can begin to bend your experience of reality in very real, practical ways. Along the way, you'll discover how beliefs are programmed, how they turn into self-fulfilling prophecies, why acting as if starts with telling yourself a new kind of lie, and how those small inner shifts reshape what you notice, what you attract, and what you allow yourself to receive. A simple question can open a very wide space inside. What if your life is already reflecting what you most deeply believe? Let this be a slow exploration rather than something to solve. Reality and the field of mind. Everything you see, touch, and respond to can be viewed as an extension of mind, rather than just a product of the brain. The brain is physical hardware, neurons, blood vessels, electrical signals, and chemicals. It recalls memories, regulates movement, and reacts to the environment, but it can only work with what it already knows. It recombines familiar information and looks to the past for patterns. Relying on the brain alone tends to keep experience looping in familiar cycles. Mind is different. Mind is the non-physical field of thought, imagination, attention, and identity. It is not confined to the skull. It can imagine futures, revisit memories that feel present, and hold possibilities that have not yet occurred. In this view, the same field that some traditions call God, Source, or the universe is not separate from mind. The mind is not simply watching reality. It is continuously shaping and selecting it. You may notice how this contrasts with the idea of a distant, judging universe. Instead of a separate power granting or denying outcomes, your own beliefs, emotions, and intentions function as operating commands. Life does not necessarily mirror what is fair or deserved. It mirrors what is most deeply held and repeated. When the sense of separation between self and source softens, distance and time feel less rigid. Reality appears more like a mirror than a fixed object. Pause here for a moment and notice how it feels to consider mind as the projector rather than the observer. Belief as a living code. From this perspective, belief becomes the core operating system. What is true for you becomes true in your experience. Two people can share the same room, the same economy, the same opportunity, and yet one sees possibility while the other sees only obstacles. The outer situation is constant. The difference lies in what each person believes about the world and themselves. Truth, in this sense, is not an absolute object. It is belief plus repetition plus emotional confirmation. A claim begins to feel real not because of pure facts, but because it has been thought, felt, agreed with, and repeated often enough. Beliefs are not fixed. They are programmable. New ones can be installed. Old ones can be released. As beliefs shift, the brain begins to notice subtle signals, patterns and chances it once ignored, because they now match a new internal expectation. Outer life seems to rearrange, not from magic, but from attention flowing in new directions. Ancient teachings such as the Hermetic maxim that all is mind describe the universe as fundamentally mental. Thoughts are not seen as private events but as generative blueprints. When thoughts like, "life is hard," or "I never get ahead" recur, they act as instructions. Bank accounts, relationships, energy levels, and environments stop looking like random events and start to feel like reflections of an inner state made visible. You might be wondering whether this means you must control every thought. Instead, it can be approached more gently, noticing which beliefs are repeated and emotionally charged reveals the code your life is currently running. Vibration, attention, and self-fulfilling loops. Another Hermetic idea is that everything vibrates. Thoughts and emotions can be understood as frequencies that tend to attract similar tones. Love drawing more love, fear drawing more fear. In this frame, you do not simply get what you want. You tend to get what you are, what you repeatedly feel, assume, and embody. Changing outcomes then becomes less about new goals and more about a shift in underlying vibration. Psychology describes something similar through confirmation bias. The brain continually filters information to support existing beliefs. If you quietly believe that you are not charismatic, you will overlook smiles and kind words and focus instead on the one person who turns away. That single moment becomes proof. Over time, this selective perception creates a self-reinforcing loop. When the mind also functions like a thermostat. When something positive exceeds your familiar self-image, there can be unconscious efforts to return to the old temperature. Opportunities may be avoided or disrupted simply because they do not yet fit the internal setting. Reprogramming the belief changes the setting, and the system gradually adjusts external results to match the new internal level. The self-fulfilling prophecy follows the same principle. Expecting failure leads to hesitant action, procrastination, and self-sabotage, which then create the very outcome that was feared. Expecting competence and value invites bolder behavior, clearer speech, and more open presence, which tends to draw different responses from others. You might be wondering, is this only about what I think of myself, or also what others think of me? Research on the Pygmalion effect suggests that others' expectations matter too. When teachers quietly expect certain students to excel, those students often rise, influenced by more attention, challenge, and warmth, much of it unconscious. Expectations form an energetic climate that people often adapt to, whether those expectations are placed on them by others or by themselves. Notice how this shifts the question from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What expectations am I standing inside of right now?" Filters, fields, and the mirror of life. The reticular activating system, or RAS, at the base of the brainstem filters the overwhelming amount of sensory input. It decides, moment by moment, what is important enough to enter conscious awareness. It is trained by what you repeatedly focus on with emotion and attention. When a certain car matters to you, You begin to see it everywhere, not because there are more of them, but because your filter has changed. In the same way, telling the inner system, "I always attract opportunities," trains the RAS to notice conversations, messages, and possibilities that align with that statement. Telling it, "Life is hard," encourages it to prioritize evidence of difficulty and ignore signs of ease or support. Reality itself does not have to change for your lived experience of it to shift. The filter moves and the world looks different. Quantum physics offers another lens through the observer effect. At very small scales, particles appear as possibilities until observed. Observation seems to collapse the field into a particular outcome. In everyday life, this can be taken as a metaphor. How you look at a situation influences which aspect of it becomes real for you, which options you act on, and which paths remain invisible. From here, life begins to resemble a hall of mirrors more than a classroom. Situations, people, and outcomes reflect states of mind, underlying assumptions, and emotional baselines. Affirmations spoken from a core identity rooted in fear or lack may not change much, because the mirror responds more to frequency than to words. It reflects the deeper "I am" beneath the surface statements. You might notice yourself wondering, if my life is a mirror of what I believe and expect, what is it currently showing me about who I think I am? That question alone can become a quiet practice. The trap of have, do, be. Most of us inherit a particular formula. First have, then do, then be. Once the money arrives, then meaningful work is possible. And only then is it safe to call oneself an entrepreneur. Once the relationship appears, then love can be expressed, and only then can identity shift to lovable. This approach seems responsible, but it often delays change indefinitely. In this pattern, identity becomes dependent on circumstances. Self-worth is outsourced to income, status, feedback, or visible results. When outcomes dip, the sense of self dips with them. The inner narrative becomes fragile, held together by the latest success or approval. The future becomes a place where life will finally begin, once a certain condition is met. This model invites constant motion, more effort, more credentials, more proof, and yet a stable sense of enough stays out of reach. No matter how much is done or achieved, a feeling of arrival does not settle in. Eventually there can be exhaustion, not just in the body, but in the deeper sense of self. You might be wondering whether there is an alternative that does not require more effort but a different starting point. Reversing the formula, be, do, have. The alternative presented here is simple and radical. Be, do, have. Instead of waiting to have in order to do and then be, the process begins with being. Identity comes first. Actions flow from that identity. Results follow. In practical terms, this means stepping into the inner posture of the entrepreneur before the business is visible, or living from love before the perfect relationship arrives. Rather than trying to behave your way into a new identity, you allow identity to quietly lead behavior. When you see yourself differently, you naturally make different choices, take different risks, and speak with a different tone. Outcomes tend to follow. Identity here is the source code. Habits, environments, and results are downstream. A hustler identity may generate constant motion and limited capacity to hold abundance. A millionaire identity, in this vocabulary, refers not to a number, but to an inner capacity to hold, manage, and allow more. Similarly, a follower identity and a leader identity can encounter the same situation and respond in very different ways. This model places causality back within being. Instead of asking, "What should I do to reach my goals?" the question shifts to, "Who would I be if this were already real? And how would that person naturally move?" Behavior becomes an expression of identity rather than a struggle against it. Motivation is less forced. Over time, when actions consistently match a chosen identity, life can begin to feel more synchronized. Opportunities seem to gather around the new frequency. Results that once required strain begin to emerge with less friction. This is not described as a reward for effort, but as a natural alignment between inner assumption and outer reflection. Pause for a moment and notice how it feels to imagine starting from "I am" rather than from "one day." If. Acting as if and the role of deliberate lies. At this point, you might be wondering, how can I genuinely be something I do not yet believe? This is where the idea of lying to yourself is introduced, not as deception in a moral sense, but as a temporary stance toward a future identity that is not yet supported by evidence. In this framing, a lie is simply a statement that has not yet accumulated enough reasons, proof, or confirmation to be widely accepted as true. Many scientific ideas once accepted as fact are now considered mistaken. And the reverse is also true. What changes over time is not the universe, but the amount and direction of evidence humans gather. Applied inwardly, this means that when you say, "I am powerful" or "I am wealthy" for the first time, it can feel false because it contradicts past programming and current circumstances. The body may tighten. The mind may resist. The ego may mock. This discomfort is not a sign of wrongdoing. It is simply the old identity defending its territory. Truth and lies, in this sense, are built from the same raw materials: reasons, experiences, and repeated narratives. A new statement begins as unconfirmed, gains small pieces of supporting evidence, and eventually becomes the default story. At some point, it becomes harder to believe the old story than the new one. You might be wondering what this journey looks like in practice. It can be viewed as 3 stages. First, the deliberate lie, choosing a statement about who you are that feels ahead of your current proof. Second, delusional belief, acting as if that statement were already true, even as doubt lingers. Third, realistic belief, when feedback from life starts to align and the identity settles into something ordinary and unquestioned. In the first stage, the new statement feels like a costume that does not quite fit. In the second stage, you wear it anyway, adjusting your posture, speech, and choices to match it. In the third stage, the costume feels like ordinary clothing. It no longer occurs to you as a costume at all. Micro-proof and the slow construction of self. Between the deliberate lie and stable belief lies a quiet practice. Noticing micro-evidence. Tiny confirmations, an unexpected compliment. A different reaction from someone. A new idea. A brief moment of feeling capable are treated as small pieces of proof that the new identity might be real. These moments can be written down, revisited, and gathered like stones for a foundation. The more attention they receive, the more the inner filter begins to seek similar signs. Confirmation bias starts to work in service of the new identity rather than against it. Over time, the balance of evidence shifts. The old story no longer feels like the only reasonable interpretation. Historical examples can illustrate this process. Some well-known figures insisted on possibilities that seemed unreasonable at the time. Their convictions shaped the expectations of those around them, and together they brought unlikely outcomes into being. The details differ, but the pattern is similar. Declare, believe, become. The belief precedes the visible result. Identity comes before public confirmation. You might be wondering if this requires a dramatic personality or loud declarations. It does not. The same pattern can unfold quietly, in small daily choices that align with the chosen I am, long before anyone else sees it. Letting old stories fade. For a new identity to take root, the old one often needs less fuel. This can mean gradually withdrawing attention from narratives of limitation, stories of being always broke, always unlucky, always overlooked. The less these are repeated, shared, and emotionally rehearsed, the more they begin to lose solidity. In their place, language, emotion, and behavior are gently reoriented around the emerging self. Music, movement, posture, and environment can all serve as anchors to the new state. A particular song, a simple phrase, or a small daily ritual can help the nervous system feel what it is like to already be that version of you. A few seconds of genuine feeling can have more impact than many hours of mechanical repetition. Surroundings matter too. Spaces, objects, and relationships either echo the new identity or pull you back into familiar patterns. Cleaning a room, changing clothing, or spending time with people who naturally see you as the person you are becoming can quietly reinforce the shift. Each of these sends a small, consistent message to the subconscious. This is who we are now. Over time, persistent belief, even if imperfect, tends to reshape experience. There may be a moment when you notice that you no longer need to convince yourself. The threshold has been crossed. What began as an experiment in acting as if has become the way things feel. Gradual, then sudden. You might be wondering when that moment will come. The teaching here suggests that it is rarely dramatic from the inside. It is more like noticing one day that an old fear or story has become strangely quiet. Living from the inner shift. Seen through this lens, life is continuously updating to match who you are being right now. Results appear as delayed reflections of earlier identities and assumptions. Change the I am, and over time, the reflection follows. To live the be-do-have model is to act in alignment with a chosen identity before external proof appears, allowing the world to slowly rearrange around that choice. Rather than waiting for signals from outside to confirm that it is safe to shift, you might notice how it feels to let the decision come first. Softly. This is who I am now. Actions then become experiments in coherence with that quiet declaration. The outer mirror catches up in its own time. As this exploration closes, you might simply sit with a few open questions. What story about who you are has been repeated so often that it now feels like fact? What new sentence about yourself feels a little unreal, yet quietly alive? What tiny piece of evidence, however small, hints that this new sentence might already be taking shape? Let the questions linger in the background of your day, like a gentle current under the surface of things. In a moment, you'll move from hearing these ideas into actually feeling them in your own body. Instead of just thinking about identity and belief, let's pause together and gently experience what it's like to plant a new I am inside your mind. We'll take a short, simple meditation now. Sit in a way that feels easy for you. Let your hands rest and allow your eyes to close or soften. Take a slow breath in through your nose and a gentle breath out through your mouth. 2 more like that, at your own pace. Now, simply notice that you are aware. Thoughts may be moving. Emotions may be present. You do not need to change them. Imagine your mind as a clear, open space. Inside this space, there is a quiet voice that often says something about who you are. You might hear a familiar line like, "I'm not ready, I'm always behind," or "Nothing really changes for me." Choose just one sentence that you often say to yourself. See or hear it clearly inside. Notice how your body feels when this sentence appears. Tight? Heavy? Numb? Just observe without judgment. Now, gently let that sentence move a little farther away from you, as if it's written on a screen, a few steps in front of you, instead of living inside your chest. In the empty space it leaves, allow a new, softer sentence to arise. Not something dramatic, just one step forward. Maybe, "I am learning to change. I am becoming more capable. I am beginning to see things differently." Pick one that feels simple and honest enough to try. Repeat it silently, once or twice. Notice your body again, even if it feels only slightly different, a bit more open, a bit more spacious. Let that small difference be important. This is how a new identity begins. One quiet line, repeated with awareness. Take 3 slow breaths, and on each exhale, repeat your new sentence inside. I am. When you are ready, feel the weight of your body where you are sitting or lying. Notice the sounds around you. You can open your eyes whenever it feels right, bringing this simple I am with you, like a small light you can return to throughout your day. You do not need to hold on tightly to anything from this meditation. Just know that a small shift has been made inside, a kind that reality slowly learns to reflect when it feels right. In this video, you explored a different way of seeing your life, that your mind is not just watching reality, but shaping it through the beliefs and identities you repeat to yourself. You saw how shifting from have gives, do gives be, to be gives, do gives have, begins with one gentle new I am, held inside. In the short meditation, you didn't just think about that, you practiced it by noticing an old story, setting it aside, and planting a quieter, more honest I am in its place. Even if the shift felt small, that is where real change starts. If this spoke to you, you can come back to this meditation anytime and share this video with someone who might need it. If you'd like more content like this, you're welcome to like, subscribe, and stay connected here in Within Stillness space. For now, let the simple sentence you chose today walk with you into the rest of your day.